Hey students, welcome to Vedantu NCERT Solutions class 11th and 12th, where we solve all the questions for you from your NCERT. Right? The question for today is from the chapter Plant Kingdom. From the Plant Kingdom chapter, the first question is from the 3.1. What is the basis? What is the basis of classification of algae? How are algae classified in your NCERT? Right, so before we understand the classification of algae, let's quickly understand what it means. Algae, what exactly is an algae? Right, so algae is an organism. Algae is an organism belonging to plant kingdom. Why plant kingdom? Because it is eukaryotic as well as it has chlorophyll. Right, it is eukaryotic as well as chlorophyll, and this algae is a simple organism. It's a very simple organism, and it is also thalloid. So it is a thalloid organism. So what do I mean by thalloid organism? Thalloid organism means simple. It lacks. It lacks what? It lacks true roots, true stem and true leaves. So it lacks true root and stem and leaves. So there is no proper root, stem and leaf. It is very thalloid. And this organism is said to be autotrophic. Why autotrophic? Because it has chlorophyll and hence it can prepare its own food. Very simple, right? That's your algae. Very simple. Now let's understand the classification. How are algae classified? So before you understand the classification of algae, you need to know what is the habitat. Where do you find these algae? So algae is found in fresh water, brackish water, as well as salt water. So all the three different types of water you can find your algae. But can you find algae on the land? There is terrestrial algae, and I would like to know in the comment section if any of you know what is the terrestrial algae. What are the different examples of terrestrial algae? I would like to know. Let's see if you know. So let's quickly understand the classification. So in your NCERT, algae has been classified into three different classes, right? Three different classes. Now what are the three different classes? The three different classes is brown algae, green algae and red algae. The green algae is known as what? Chlorophyceae. The green algae is known as what? Chlorophyceae. The brown algae is known as Phaeophyceae. And then you have the red algae. The red algae is known as what? Red algae is known as Rhodophyceae. So we have Chlorophyceae, green algae, Phaeophyceae, brown algae and Rhodophyceae, red algae. So why the color? There is the first hint. The first classification, the first basis of classification is the color. Color of what? Color of the algae. Right? How do we get the color? The color is imparted because of the pigment present here. So first base of classification is what? The first base of classification is the pigment. Right? What type of pigment is present? And what type of pigment is present in the algae. So in case of your Chlorophyceae, the Chlorophyceae has a pigment known as chlorophyll A, and this chlorophyll A is common among all the three different classes of algae. Common. Chlorophyll A is universally common. Now what is the extra type of pigment present? In your Chlorophyceae, the extra pigment, distinguishing pigment is your chlorophyll B. In the case of your Phaeophyceae, the chlorophyll which is distinct chlorophyll is chlorophyll. One second, chlorophyll, let me just erase this. It is the chlorophyll C. And then in case of your Rhodophyceae, the distinguishing pigment is your chlorophyll D. Now, this is not just the pigment present. In the case of your Phaeophyceae, the main pigment which imparts the brown color, and the brown pigment is your fucoxanthin. It is what? Fucoxanthin. Fucoxanthin is the pigment which imparts the brown color, which also decides what shade of brown it should be. Right, based on the concentration of your fucoxanthin, the brown algae can be all the way from your olive green to brown, different shades of brown. So depending upon the concentration of fucoxanthin. Then in your case of Rhodophyceae, the main pigment which imparts the red color to the algae is xanthophyll. It is a type of xanthophyll which is known as what? Which is known as phycoerythrin. phycoerythrin. Clear? Phycoerythrin is a type of xanthophyll which is present in the case of your red algae. Now, what is the other classification? What is the other basis of classification? The other base of classification in the case of three different algae is the stored food material. Now, what is the based on the reserved food material? Based on the food material, right? What is the reserved food material in these three algae? We can also distinguish them. We can also classify them. Now, in case of your chlorophyceae, it is very simple. The simple type of stored food material in the case of your chlorophyceae is starch. Is what? Starch. So, starch is the stored food material in the case of chlorophyceae. What about phyophyceae? Phyophyceae is a little complex. Now, little complex stored food material here is mannitol. It is what? Mannitol. So, mannitol is the reserved food material. But along with mannitol, you can also find other type of reserved food material, that is laminarin. Remember this, write it down. If you write it down, then only you will be able to understand this, then only you will be able to remember this. So, laminarin. So, other than laminarin, what else something is there? Let me know in the comment section if you know any other type of stored food material which is present in the case of your phyophyceae. Now, let's come to rhodophyceae. In the case of your rhodophyceae, the reserved food material is also a starch. But a different type of starch. A different type of starch which is present here is Floridian starch. What? Floridian starch. Clear? Now we have pigment, we have the stored food material. Now, what is the next base of classification? The next base of classification is the cell wall. How is cell wall made up of? And what is cell wall made up of? Right? So cell wall, I'll just write cell wall here. So in the case of your chlorophyceae, right? In the case of your chlorophyceae, the cell wall is very simple. It is made up of what? It is made up of cellulose. One second. Just write it properly. It's made up of cellulose. Right? Cellulose. Now, other than cellulose, what else can we find here? You can also find pectose here. You can also find pectose along with cellulose in the case of your chlorophyceae. Now, in the case of your rhodophyceae, the pigment present, the cell wall is made up of cellulose as well as a phycocolloidal substance. What is a phycocolloidal substance? Here the phycocolloidal substance is alginic acid. The alginic acid is the phycocolloidal substance present here. Now, what is this phycocolloidal substance? These are the substances which help in retention of water, which help in the hydration, which help in the algae to be moisturized. Is the moisturizer here. So the algae doesn't dry up. Just so the algae doesn't dry up, the phycocolloidal substance holds the water to maintain the moisture on the surface of the algae. Now, in the case of your rhodophyceae, it also has cellulose. Cellulose plus, this is more important. Cellulose plus a phosphate ester type of substance present here, known as what? A phosphate ester present known as agar and carrageen. This is very important. Carrageen. Now, this carrageen is also a phycocolloidal substance which help in what? Which help in holding the water, which help in moisturizing the water. Agar is a substance which is used in your laboratories for your preparation of your nutrient media. Clear? Now, apart from these three different base of classification, you also have the habitat. Chlorophyceae is found in where? Chlorophyceae is found in fresh water, brackish water, as well as your salt water. While your phyophyceae, it is rarely found in your fresh water, but it is mostly found in brackish as well as salt water. Now, rhodophyceae, fresh water, very some of them, but in the case of your salt, right, it is mostly found in your salt water. Apart from these three and the habitat, the other base of classification is your motility, especially in case of flagella. What is the type of flagella present? Now, rhodophyceae is said to be completely non-motile, right? The flagella here is absent. In the case of your rhodophyceae because they are non-motile. But in case of your chlorophyceae and phyophyceae, you have the flagella. Now, in the case of your chlorophyceae, it is 2 to 8 and it is apical and it is equal. Right, apical as well as equal. In the case of your Chlamydomonas, you have seen the Chlamydomonas, right? In apical we have equal flagella. Now in the case of your Phaeophyceae, it is unequal type of flagella as well as lateral flagella. It is what? Lateral flagella. Flagella is unequal and lateral in position. Now those were the different bases of classification of your algae. Hope you like the video. If it was informative, go like the video and also subscribe to the channel if you do not want to miss any of the content on this channel. So until next time.